Hi, my loves. Hi, guys. I hope you all are good and are having a good day. Oh, why do when I start this video, these things just come to me. These incense sticks, they just come to me. I hope you guys are good and are having a good day. It's a very beautiful day today. I'm having my tea. No, I'm actually I'm actually not having tea. I'm having mocha, coffee mocha. This frankincense is really bothering me. It doesn't bother me. I actually love the smell of frankincense incense sticks, especially these brands. But it will come to me. Clearly, I need a lot of cleansing, purification. Alrighty. Good morning, good day, good evening, depending on when you actually watch this video. Now, welcome to my page. Thank you to everyone who has liked, followed, commented, and kept the page going. We really do appreciate you. And I repeat, oh my gosh, I repeat, and I repeat, I do not do dream interpretation in inboxes or on comments. I do not offer free consultations. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Every single person on this page is going through a lot. You're not the only one. There's nothing special. I've went through a lot and I never inquired and never asked other people for free consultations. I always paid for my spiritual things, right? So with that said, I do not do free consultations. So please don't ask me for free consultations. And as I request again, please don't send me videos in the inboxes and videos of people that you're watching. I don't need to know all those. Even if they're saying what I'm saying, don't send it. It's okay. It's for you. The message is for you. The ancestors are confirming to you that the things that you are watching are not. I don't need the confirmation or the validation that what I'm saying is true, right? And then also, if you just say hi in the inbox, how are you? Good morning, and don't write a full message. I'm not gonna respond to it until you actually write a full message. There's a lot of spam that's going in the inboxes with people that just say hi, right? And so I can't be hiing the whole day in the inboxes. Okay, fine. Now, with that said, if you are new to this page, right, I have done more than 10 videos on what we call family source of wealth. I've done more than 10 videos, if I'm being honest. There's more than 10 videos on source of wealth. And then I've also done videos on the energetic flow of money. And I've done it in different forms with different titles, but they all talk about the energetic flow of money. Now, then I did ownership intro, and then I did Makosi intro, and then I did Makosi yesterday. And then I'm continuing with this trend. All these videos are connected, whether it's be the source of wealth, whether it's be flow of money, whether it be Makosi, they're all connected. They're all taking us down the same route. It's like multiple streams of income. It's like multiple streams coming in one direction, right? So now, the reason why we are here, and I'm sitting on this chair in this place with this camera in front of me, is because of the source of wealth. It's because of the thing that I keep on saying, that every family has a source of wealth. Every family has their own source of wealth. And the same source of wealth can be implemented in multiple ways by different family members. Doesn't mean just because the family source of wealth is in farming, the only people who are the only thing that this family is going to do is farming. There's more to do in farming, and that source of wealth can produce multiple streams of income. Now, so please go watch the videos on the source of wealth before you start commenting and asking questions, what is the source of wealth? There is so much information that I gave on this that some questions should not even be asked. Now, there's many people, due to that series of the family source of wealth, there's many people who have been coming to me, and we've been tackling that different source of wealth, and through consultations, and some through mentorship, and some it takes a little bit of time before we are able to come to a point where we can identify what the source of wealth is, right? Or some people, it just comes up in first consultations, and many people have been tackling it and have been doing this. Some of you have already been tackling it on your own for the past years. The past few years, you've been tackling this family source of wealth. You've been dealing with it. You've been working on it. Sometimes you don't even know the fancy title of it, but you've been dealing with it, right? And now, obviously, when you watch these videos, you're like, damn it, that's exactly what I've been doing. Okay, fine. Now, with that, what then happens is that family source of wealth, once you identify the source of wealth of your family, you then need to turn it, you need to convert it into generational wealth. So many people identify their source of wealth and then they leave it as a single generational consumption. And it never turns into generational wealth. The reason why the source of wealth is there, it is to help you build empires. That's what the purpose of the source of wealth is. It is not to just make you money so that you can buy the expensive cars and the expensive houses and the expensive clothing. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to build you generational wealth. Now, generational wealth, what is generational wealth? We talk a lot about this. We talk a lot about generational wealth. What is generational wealth? Right? Obviously, generational, it means it's something that lasts multiple generations. And if it's something that lasts, my lips, but it's too far. If it's something that lasts multiple generations, then how then does it last multiple generations? Right? How then do we make sure that this wealth, this source of wealth, we are able to drag it into multiple generations? How do we then do that? It is through ownership. It is through ownership. It is through ownership of assets, ownerships of properties, ownership. Right. Now, before we even get into ownership, let's talk about what we are doing as the Black community. In the Black community, starting a business is the easiest thing. I don't know about other countries. I'm talking about South Africa. In South Africa, in the Black community, starting a business is the easiest thing. You could wake up the following morning and decide you want to sell lollipops and Zimba chips and put them outside. A business has started. You could wake up one day and decide you want to make the ice, like those ice creams. We put them in the ice, we freeze them, we put them in a plastic, we freeze them, and the kids come and buy them. That's good money. People are making good money out of that. They've even turned now, they put alcohol and sell it to the adults. Fine. You could wake up and say you want to start a kota place, bunny chow, potato slap chips place, right? Fish and chips place. You could literally wake up and say I want to start selling alcohol. And you do it. You don't need to go to any government organization. You don't need to go tell anyone. You don't even need to go tell SARS that you've decided you want to start selling alcohol. You don't need to do that. The only time SARS comes for you is now when you start opening bank accounts. Fine. So you can wake up any day and decide you want to start a business, right? That's a business. Anyone can wake up and decide they want to start a business. But it only takes a few people who can turn this idea into something long term. Now, a business is not generational wealth. I repeat that. A business is not generational wealth. Why do I say that? Because some businesses can never be turned into generational businesses. Let's make an example. I'm going to go back to the tender, right? A tender can never be turned, tenderpreneurship can never be turned into generational wealth. Well, it can. Let me get into why. It's not generational wealth, but it can be turned. I'll get to how, right? A tender is not generational wealth. A tender, you get it. Now, okay, fine. Before we get into the tender, let's start about what is a tender, right? There's a system that was created because of the disadvantage that as Black people we faced in our own country, due to the segregation, due to the apartheid, due to all these things. A system was created. This is now for the people overseas that Trump and Elon Musk were fighting about. This is the issue that Elon Musk had. A system was created which is called the Black Economic Empowerment. It is a system that was created to empower Black people. How is it supposed to empower them? It is supposed to empower them to elevate them to a particular level of economic status that was not available to them for all these years. The system is not the first system implemented in South Africa. It's not the first time it being implemented in South Africa. It was implemented way back in the days when the British came, when the Europeans came, and they found the Afrikaners and they were wanting to rule. And then they found that the Afrikaners were also a minority and they didn't have anything to stand on as compared to the British. And they provided them with a white economic empowerment policy that elevated the Afrikaners. made them to be in the same level status with the Europeans. So it's not the first time we are implementing this in South Africa. The only issue now is that it is being implemented on the group that everyone thinks they should not be able to deserve that, because the white South Africans, majority of them, feel that the wealth only should belong to them and it should not be distributed amongst everyone, right? But the reality is that the wealth should be distributed amongst everyone. We all deserve the right to the wealth. Now that's why the Black Economic Empowerment was created. Now, this Black Economic Empowerment is supposed to take you from one level to another of economical status. It does not make you rich. It is not intended, its purpose has never been to make you wealthy or to help you build generational wealth. Its intention is to give you access to resources and startup and boost that you can use to elevate yourself. Now, part of their tenders were created. Now, a tender is a contractual agreement between you and someone, you and an organization, you and a government entity. Now, that contractual thing, it's only created for a specific time period. And once that time period ends, it ends. You have to go reapply for it. But the chances of you getting the same tender over and over are slim, because it's supposed to circulate. They have to give the chance to someone else who needs the opportunity. Now, when they give you a 5-year contract, they are saying to you that use this money, this income that you're getting for 5 years, use it to build yourself into another field where you won't be needing to come back. Now, what has happened is that what we then started doing is that our old business model, the whole business model that we start with is just tender. You move from one tender to another. You do not have a business model that generates income outside of the tenders. This is contractual. Contractual agreements can never be turned into generational wealth. That's the reality of it. Now, and that's why I keep saying that tenderpreneurship is not a business that can bring you generational wealth. Tenderpreneurship, what it's meant to do is that you're supposed to take the tender, that 5 years, the income that you are making from the tender, you're supposed to be building on the side an income generating business that does not rely on contracts. And then from that income generating business that does not rely on contracts, you then turn it into a model that can be implemented from one generation to another generation. I was watching this video. I had written his name because I had started writing this lesson on ownership, but and now the book is there. I'm not gonna go stand up and go look and take that book. I'm too tired for that. I'm exhausted from yesterday. Now, what then happened is that this guy, I just forgot his name. In my book, it's there, and I'm sorry if I'm quoting someone and not quoting their name. But anyway, it was in an American podcast, and he was giving a breakdown, right? And he said that he was talking about the billionaires. And then he said that the billionaires, black billionaires in America that everyone was raving about all these years, they were billionaires because of partnerships, right? They were billionaires because of partnerships, not because of ownership. And then what happens is that Kanye West, let's take Kanye West for instance, went and said whatever he could say. He had partnerships with Adidas, Gap, and all those things, right? He had built a brand. But then this brand partnered with other people. And now because of the partnership that made him into a billionaire, when the partnerships were removed, his billionaire status fell. And it fell to a point that his wealth status was even threatened. Let's go to P. Diddy, for instance. P. Diddy's had many partnerships, and that elevated him to a billionaire status. And then when all those things came up and the trials and everything, the partnerships were removed, he fell from billionaire status. Right? So they don't really have true wealth because of the partnerships that they build. But let's go back to our Kasi boy, Elon Musk. He's so Kasi, that one. That one you can see he's South African, that one. Let's go back to Elon Musk. Look at all these things he has said with Donald Trump, the lies he has told about South Africa, all these things he has said. And yet, our cheese boy, and yet Skotani South Africa, Elon Musk, our Skotani managed to get what he wanted in South Africa. At the end of it all, he got the contract that he had went all out for and said all many things for. Why? What makes him different from others? It is because Elon Musk has ownership. Elon Musk is not coming due to partners. Elon Musk is coming because he owns Starlink, right? He owns it. He owns those satellites. in the sky, in the galaxies. Elon Musk is not coming because he has partnered on some project with someone and needs something. So when we look as investors, as whatever, when we look at the business model, we are looking, this one has a lot more risks, because if the partners were to pull out of this partnership, it leaves you at a disadvantage. Whereas an Elon Musk, there's no risks attached to it. Even if he goes and says a whole lot of rubbish, stocks, yes, might fall, but the reality is that he does not lose his wealth, because it's the ownership of his wealth. Right. So now, as black people, yes, we've been doing so well. We've been doing so well in starting business and getting into entrepreneurship, in trying to rebuild our glories and our wealth. But we are missing an element of ownership. The Black economic empowerment has been used so well. It's a system that our government has implemented so well to give you a chance. However you get the chance, it is up to you, right? Give you a chance. Whether you go bribe someone or you apply it or you get it right, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is that you got the chance, right? Don't think corruption started with us. Corruption has always been there. Money has been disappearing in South Africa even before black people came into power. They even ate more money in South Africa. They stole so much money out of South Africa that is sustaining them even today. Resources, wealth, land that was stolen from us. So don't ever come and think that corruption and complain about corruption and listen to white people complaining about corruption, but you don't know the amount of corruption that they did. Not only that, the corruption is still there in Europe. They just know how to hide their books. If there's one thing about we were talking with one of my mentees the other day. She had come for her ocean cleansings. And we were talking about something, and we were like, the thing about white people, they just know how to make things look good. That glitter. But not everything that glitters is gold. When you go deep into their books, that's when you realize who they are. They are the biggest shoplifters. People will be like, hey, when you enter a shop, they'll be following you as a black person. But black people don't steal as much as white people because no one is looking at them. So they will complain about corruption and say this. So don't ever, the thing about it is that sometimes you guys focus too much. Oh, there's a country is corrupt. Oh, use that corruption to your advantage. Ride the wave. Why are you complaining? Go use it to your advantage. Go use it to your advantage and then take the corruption and then build something for yourself. But don't just sit here and complain. Right? No, that's not the lesson. Let's concentrate. All right. So now we're back into tenderpreneurship, right? So now, because it's a contract, billionaire status are not built by contracts or agreements or partnerships. Billionaire status is proper billionaire status. If you look at the billionaires in the world, go on Forbes or whatever. Sometimes I don't agree with the numbers of Forbes, but anyway, go on Forbes and look at, because the reason why they say in South Africa we have 2 or 3 billionaires, but I know more billionaires in South Africa than Forbes does. So we're not sure where Forbes gets their things from. But anyway, we'll look at Forbes. Go on the Forbes list of billionaires and look at all those billionaires, from the Arabs to the Indians to the Chinese to the whites. Look at all those billionaires and look at what they have. All of them have ownership. And I feel like even I'm getting an... Forbes looks at the billionaire status based on what they own. Yeah. It's based on their assets. Majority of them don't even have cash flow. They can't even give you 100K because they don't have available cash. But they have assets that qualify them to be billionaires. But just look at them. Many of them are billionaires. They have the billionaire status because of ownership. Patrice Motsepe has the billionaire status because of ownership. He owns a mine because of ownership. Right? Now, and that mine can be in the Motsepe generation for years and years and years and years. There's solars, there's this and this and this. So the assets that he's been building are not assets that are just gonna, when he dies, they are all gone. All right. That's an easy asset of building generational wealth, right? Now, we need to come to a point where we take our brilliant business ideas, where we take all these things that we are doing and convert them into multiple generational businesses. With that, we need to come to a point where we reevaluate the businesses that we are constantly getting into. We reevaluate the businesses that we are always seeking funding for. If you work in a funding organization, like a government funding organization, the majority of the business plans that are coming, catering, mobile toilets, food truck, they are just the same. Whereas the white people are taking the solars, the farming, energy, businesses. So we need to go back and relook at the businesses that we are coming with. Not every business needs your attention. Not every business idea needs your attention. And as someone who gets a lot of business ideas, I don't know, maybe I'm just too intelligent. I am. So I get a lot of business ideas. And one thing I remember, my mentor, Paul Smith, we went through a series where I was attending this workshop with him, and he didn't actually say ownership, but he kept on, a lot of people were coming up with business ideas and kept on being like, and you could see like, man, he's had to read a lot of business plans on catering, events management, and he was like, think out of the box, guys. And one of the things that we did was go through Shark Tank, and then we would watch, it wasn't Shark Tank, we would watch the other one. What's the other one? Not Shark Tank, but it looks a little bit like Shark Tank. Dragon. Forgot the name. Time is going. But we would watch one of those things where people come pitch their ideas, and then the investors will decide if they invest in it or if they don't invest in it, and give them tips here. And we would always have to write things about it and say that why was this person invested in, why was this person not in, the different ideas and everything. And I remember I was having a conversation on the side with him, and then he said to me, "It's like you must look at think outside of the box. Like, go to Fortune 50, 500. Go to Fortune 500 and look at what businesses are listed on the Fortune 500, and all those businesses are white people. I think on the Fortune 500 of American businesses, there's probably 3 or 4 black businesses there, and all of them are white businesses." And he says, go look at what businesses are there. And I went and I studied, and I was like, from there, I was then able to identify what businesses we don't have in South Africa and how we can implement them. And it's that time when I then started praying specifically and asking for a business, because I didn't want to come with a catering business. I wanted, at the end of the program that I was on, I wanted to come up with a brilliant business. And I then came up with the skincare for black skin, like a specific skincare product for black skins, for melanin, right? And everyone was blown away. I came first because I had the brilliant idea. So imagine if skincare was the brilliant idea in that class. Do you see how much we really need to think outside of the box as black people? Now, I did try and implement it, but yeah, that's a story. I've talked about the story in another video. Okay, fine. Now, we need to come to a point, because a catering business cannot be taken into generational wealth. It can start you. Not saying it's a bad business. It can start you. But from there, you need to turn it and think outside of the box. And so with me, as someone who comes up with a lot of business ideas, there's a thing called, that I would do. I would tell, I don't know, I think I'm giving a business lecture now. Okay. How do we build generational wealth? Through ownership, right? Fine. How do you vet an idea, your business idea? How do you vet it that this business idea will bring me generational wealth? The first step is business canvas model. What? Business canvas model. Don't ask me what a business canvas model is, because you're a business person. That's a question you go ask Google, what a business canvas model is. And then you go study what a business canvas model is, and then you start implementing it. So I went and I printed out so many sheets, because you can download the PDF model of a business canvas model. I downloaded so many sheets of business canvas models, and I think I even had a file, bend them at the beginning of the year. And I would just take one sheet when I get a business idea, and I would go fill in the business canvas model, write the title, fill in the business canvas model, do everything on the business canvas model. I was even so good at it, like it would just take me a few minutes, and I'll just go and research, what are my customer base segments, what are my income streams, what are my income streams, what are my this and this, and I would just do it. And when I look at it, I will then know if the business has validity or not. If it doesn't, if the idea requires a lot for me, I'll then put it aside. If it didn't require a lot for me, I'll then put it aside, right? And then certain of those business canvas model, the business that I've been running for a long time, I did a business canvas model with it. And I was then able to become a digital nomad based from the business canvas model that I built, right? And from that's the foundation of your business plan. We rush to do business plans. We're always rushing. Oh, I need someone to help me write a business plan, right? That's the foundation. From then on, from that business canvas model, you can literally write your own business plan. But before you rush to building a business plan, this is now for those who want to start into business. Before you rush to having a business plan, now go ask yourself. Now implement the lean startup method. Out of my mentee came up with an idea and we were bouncing ideas, and I'm like, no, I'm giving an idea. And it's like, Osmaputi, you said we need to do the lean startup method, and now I'm implementing it. And I'm like, what? Okay, fine. Now we do the lean startup method. What is the lean startup method? Go Google it. You are an entrepreneur, you want to get into business, go Google it. Now you evaluate the lean startup method and say the validity of this business. Okay, fine, I've done a business canvas model. Now how can I then implement this business using the lean startup method? Meaning that you're using the littlest amount of funding for this business as possible. I always kept my lean startup, my lean capital. I never went any business that needed me to start it with more than 5,000. I would always put it aside. I would always look at which business can I start with less than 5,000. Can I get the product? Can I start implementing, start selling, start doing everything with less than 5,000? And if I can, then that's a viable business plan. Because even if it doesn't work out, I have not lost money. I've just lost 5,000. I'm not going to cry over 5,000. If it works out, then it's going to be even better because then I didn't put a lot of capital into it, right? Yes, there are some businesses that need big capitals in order to start them. And this is where now all these things come in. Now you've identified it. Now you build this business. You've been building this business. Now we move on to the people now who already have the businesses. Let's say maybe you are a doctor. Doctors, I remember when I was in high school, I went to the library and I got this book. No, I wasn't in high school. I was young. More than, I think, I was in high school. I went to the doctor and I got this book where we're talking about different entrepreneurships. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. And this then said that the thing about a doctor, being a doctor, it's kind of like a single generation consumption, unless if your kids also become doctors. So the only way to generate generational wealth from being a doctor is having multiple doctors in the generation. Hence, that's why many families with doctors, they will always have doctors. That's how they're able to pull that. So if you're a doctor and you build a practice, it means that your son has to come up and be a doctor. And then from then on, their son, that's how we turn it into a generational business, right? But that's how it always used to be done. But now you are a doctor and you are thinking, I'm running in a small clinic or whatever, and I want to improve, right? So you can build 1 or 2 practices. But from the beginning, when you start, don't let the people be reliant on you. Because once the people be reliant on you, they will not want any other doctor to touch them. And with that limits you to how much growth you can have as a doctor. So you need to remove yourself from the face, from always being the one that people want. Because the minute you die, that practice also goes. Even if you want to hire other doctors and start working with them, people never want to go to those doctors. They always want to come to you. The other way of building it is selling medical equipment or create. You're a doctor. You know what we suffer with. Creating your own paracetamol. Do your own brand of paracetamol. You know how we should be taking. You know all these things. Building it and getting into pharmaceutical. Letting it grow. That's one of ways you can build generational wealth. Because if this product does well, then it will always be there in the family. Like how we still look at Herman Mashaba and think of Black Like Me. Even though Black Like Me fell or whatever, or I think it was sold or whatever. But he built a brand at a time when it was hard. And that brand we still talk about, we still study Black Like Me in business schools, that Herman Mashaba did. But that built him a name and a reputation, and he's using it into other avenues. Okay, so now you have a business. You have a business, you've been running it and everything, but you know that this business is a single consumption kind of generation consumption business, and you want to turn it into a generational business, right? Many of these ideas will come from your ancestors. You need to go back. Like Solomon, talk to your ancestors and ask for butlali, ask for wisdom from your ancestors. How do I turn the business that I have into multiple generational businesses? Can I turn it, or is there another business that I can start? Now, also, I want to say this. No one builds wealth from having multiple businesses. I repeat, no one builds wealth from having multiple businesses. People that build wealth, that build proper wealth, they first build one business, make it a success, and once it has become a success, they take the produce of that one business and they start investing it in other multiple streams of income. Where your energy flows, that's where your money flows. And if you're starting at the base and the foundational stage, you are then trying to build multiple streams of income from the foundational stage and running multiple businesses, you will never become a billionaire or a millionaire to start with. You will be moving from one business idea to another, one business idea, and there will never be stability. But you need to focus on one product. If you are going to the tender side, you focus on a tender, you get a tender and a big tender. And then you work on the tender and you perfect it. The money you make out of that tender, you use it towards another business. If you win the lotto, they give you money for a lotto today. You take that lotto, you invest it in a business, because that's capital. You invest it in a business that you can run and build products and what. And then from then on, you can then start investing your money in other businesses. No one becomes wealthy from running multiple businesses at the same time. Even people who have multiple streams of income have one steady foundational business that no matter what the economy does, it always remains. And then from that steady, they start investing in other businesses through partnerships. Right? Okay, so now you look at the business you have today and you want to turn it into a generational wealth kind of business. What do you own? What do you own in that business? Can that business turn into owner? How can you turn it into a business that owns things? Like, what do you own? You already have a business. So what do you own? Is your business reliant on partnerships? Do you own a patent? Do you own a product? And can this product still be replicated like Louis Vuitton? Can this product still remain when you die? What do you own? Same as those who are working. Your job is not, you are in that company not to stay there forever and to make sure that you get pension and be kept for until you get pension and you're out. And then you leave your kids at 2 million from your something, policies or whatever. I'm sure they will appreciate that. But don't you think your kids would appreciate you having left them a business? Something that generates wealth from generation to generation. Don't we want more kids to have trust funds? Don't we have trust fund babies to be black children as well? Like, you know how nice it is to meet a black child and this child says, I'm a trust fund baby. Like, they know they're set for life. They know they're set for life. They know their kids are set for life. Like, there's no worry. That child can even go and study art because they don't have the pressure of performing and having to perform for anyone. They can go study art and be a fan. They can go and live out and use their gifts. They can go sing and be an opera singer. They can go be a celloist, play the cello for life because they are a trust fund baby. They're not stressed about income. Isn't that the kind of life we want for our black children? For them to be trust fund babies? But how are they going to be a trust fund baby when you are only building a single generational consumption kind of business? There are no trust funds. There's nothing for them to fall back on. Right, let me tell you a story. When I used to teach kids, I used to be a seminary teacher. And when I was a seminary teacher, I met this boy. He's a white boy. And the lesson I was doing that day was something from the Bible about money, you know. And then we're having a discussions, and I was telling them some of the stuff that I'm talking here now. Well, not as deep as this, but teaching them about how they should be looking at their future and stuff like that. And then he said to me that he works, because I was encouraging them to get work, right? I was encouraging them to get work, and not the type of work where they go and mow people's lawn, where they go and clean dustbins. That's low workers kind of work. You don't teach your children how to do that. The rich people do not tell their children, go wash the dishes and I'm going to give you money. Go mow the lawn and I'm going to give you money. Go do this and this in the house and I'm going to... That's house workers' jobs. They pay people for those things, not their kids. Because they're not subconsciously training their children to be workers. They're training their children to be owners. Right? So what they do is that, and this is something we are lacking also in the Black community, and I talked a little bit about it in the Source of Wealth. What they do is that, let me give you an example about the child, the story of the child, right? His dad owns a company. It's a $1 million company, but it's a big company. The dad owns it. So that boy has been working, right? He works in that company. And he's not given like an office job or whatever. He's a child, like he's still in school. It's not even in high school. He was not even in high school when we had this conversation. And he works in the company, but because he's a minor, he doesn't get a salary. He works, but he doesn't get a salary. And he doesn't choose what he does. If he comes into the office and they tell him, go help the guy who's watering, the garden guy, he goes and does it, right? But there's a difference between this child and the child who's doing that at home. This one is doing it differently. I'm going to get there. Now, what happens is that he does anything. He does everything in the company. They're training him to know how to operate every single thing in the company. And he goes and helps out, but they don't pay him with cash. They pay him with shares. Every year, for the work that he does, every school holiday when he works at his father's company, he gets 1 share. Every year he gets 1 share. Now, 1 share of a company that is valued in millions, he gets 1 share. That's what he gets paid in. He gets paid in assets, not in cash. Because they're teaching him the difference between this child who gets paid, who does the dishes, who goes and mows, who does the what and gets given money. They're saying to you that your time equals money. You have to put in time for you to get money. They understand the value that they need to work hard for their money. That's why we have a generation of people who only know that for them to get money, they need to work hard, right? Whereas this one is get paid in assets. He gets paid in assets. It's ownership. So for him, walking around that company watering the flowers, he's not watering them with the mind of I'm a worker. He's watering the flowers with the mind that I'm an owner. Ownership. And at that time when we're talking, he had a couple of shares. Now let me tell you what he does with the shares. He gets dividends because he's a shareholder. And they had a bank account open for him. The dividends goes into his bank account. Now this is the difference with kids here and kids here. In the bank account, the money that comes into his account, he uses that money to purchase things that he wants. This one gets given an allowance. This one, when they need to go buy shoes, they have to come ask for the shoes. When he wants to go buy shoes, he goes into his bank account and goes and buys shoes. When he wants to take a girl out, he goes dip into his dividends income and go take his girl out. This one has to go ask for money. His first car, he will buy it himself because he has money. It's his own money. Ownership. Whereas this one is reliant on the parents to buy them the car. That's the difference. Now, this boy then said to me that, and anything he needs, like he goes into his own account and he has access to his own account and he has full control of what he does with his money. Yes, they do teach him financial literacy, but it's even different because with him, he is like there's this owner responsibility from him, because he knows damn well where he gets that money. Like he's the owner, right? And then he said that now, even in the form of him deciding what he's going to study, he knows. Like he says to me, he said there's no need for him to even worry about anything. Like he's not worried about it. He knows what he's going to study. He's not confused about where he's going in university. He's not confused about all those things. He knows he's going to study what will get him to take over that company. Now, even in takeover, there won't be any complaints. Unlike this one, if they were to try and take over their father's company, they didn't even work in the company. The shareholders will have an issue. Whereas this one has been working in the company. This one is a shareholder already from a young age. When they have shareholders meeting, this boy attends even at a young age. The shareholders already know him, the investors and everyone know him. When the point comes where he takes over, with that one share he's been getting every year, he becomes part of the majority shareholders. Not only that, he also went to school to learn the skills. Then the business falls into his lap. The same thing his father did for him, he does for his son or his daughter. And it continues and continues and continues. Not only that, the dad keeps on teaching him the trade secrets. Whereas many of us as black people grew up in families where they managed to take the source of wealth of our families and turn it into successful businesses. But when the parent dies, the business dies with the parent. We all know those people who we grew up around who they had money, and then something happened, then they lost it all. Or the parent died or whatever. And today they are sitting, they don't even have anything. It is because the parents never taught them. I remember at home, we had this business, but instead of them teaching me to run the business, they taught me to work in the business. They actually wanted me to work in the business. Whenever I tried to come in and run the business, it's as if like they felt threatened, as if like I would take the business. And I'm like, but why would I take the business? I'm trying to get this business and turn it into something that will be here forever and ever. And that's the issue in many black families. And I'm hoping our generations will do better. Whereas we take these businesses, look at the difference. If black families, whether it's a car business, whether it's a taxi empire, whether it's a what, but if they use the same principle used by these white families, we will then be able to build generational wealth. The same system is used by the Indians. Indians don't start a business that does not last generations. We laugh at them as like Kemakula and talk about how you need fabric. Fabric will always be there as long as people on earth wear clothes. It will always be there. Fabrics will always be in need. They went and chose an industry that they know will always be there. Mobile phones, phone repairs. You will always need your phone to be repaired. The screen will crack. As long as you are a human being, you'll drop your phone. They choose industries that they can see that this product is a need for humanity at all, and no amount, every human will always use this product, and they go with it. The Jews implement the same strategies. And it's time for us to change our mentality. But then how then do we get there? Is the source of wealth, is that going back and asking for the wisdom of Solomon from your ancestors and your angels. Asking for wisdom. Right now, because why? Why do you need your ancestors? Because you don't come from generational wealth. You don't come from wealth. You've never had the foundation. Your ancestors had it. And ancestors, I'm not talking about second, third generation. I'm talking about ancient ancestors. They had the wealth. They had the glory. As I said, some of you are pharaohs. Some of you are what. Your people were like... You could have Mansa Musa as your ancestor. Right? Now, but then there's a gap where it was all lost. Now to get back to that glory, to get there, to the Mansa Musa, I mean, like Mansa Musa is still the richest man that ever lived. Even with the Arabs and their own money, no one can still come to the wealth that Mansa Musa has had. No one can top him. After all these years, no one can top him. That's how much wealth he had. That even today, no one has come to the level that he went through. And that could be one of your ancestors. You need to then go back and ask that ancestor and say, how did you get there? I was talking to one of my ancestors. I need to finish. Time is going on. I was talking to one of my ancestors and we were talking about Mansa Musa. And he said to me, okay, Mansa Musa was the well-known. And he said to me, but do you actually think that Mansa Musa was the only one at that era who had the money? Who had such wealth? And I was like, no. And he said the only reason why Mansa Musa became well known, it is because his wealth, it is because he was giving so much gold to people that the price of gold went down. So obviously, when the price of an asset goes down but because of a single person, you will be known in history. But then he said, how many other people were like him? Do you think how many black people were like him who had money? Who had money just like him? And I thought about it, I was like, there's no way. In the whole Africa, in that era, we only had Mansa Musa who was rich. It's impossible. That system should have been replicated. We had many empires. We had many people who were wealthy. And that's why you need to go back to those people, to those ancestors, and ask for wisdom. The wisdom of your bloodline, the wisdom of your people. And ask them, how then do you take this that you are building, whatever it is that you're building, whether they gave it to you, it came to you, or whatever, can you turn this into generational wealth? If you can't, can they give you a better business that will turn into generational wealth? How then do you access finances? Should you go through the government? Should you go through NGOs? How then do you access that finance? Many ancestors, I know my ancestors don't like that. So any business that requires me to go and be deep in debt, they don't like it, because now it's as if like I'm shackled. It's as if like I go back to slavery where I'm shackled by a bank or something. They don't want them, right? They would rather even make me win the lotto here to just have a little bit of capital for this business. They would rather use the game of chance. I've already made a video on why ancestors love lotto. Go find that video. They would rather even say, maybe look into Forex a bit. Get here, trade a little bit. Right? So now, with that, you then go and ask, and they will give you. If your ancestors can tell you, show you people who are bewitching you, if they can give you dreams of showing you people who are bewitching you, they can give you dreams of money. But the reason why they don't give you dreams of money, it is because you're always asking about boloi, witchcraft, people hating you, bitterness. You don't go into your prayers. I've made 2 videos on how to pray. Go watch them. You don't go into prayers and say and ask specific and say, listen, I need wisdom on how we turn these things. Don't ask it once. Have constant conversations with them in prayer. Bounce off ideas. I sometimes am told to go back. The other time they're like, Sissy, we need a list for next month's expenses. We need a list for next month's expenses. And I'm like, okay. So meaning that I need to go apply my mind, what are the next month's expenses? And lately they've been bringing a couple of business ideas. I need to restructure how I do things in the spiritual and in the business way, because I'm overwhelmed and I'm overworked and it's becoming a lot for me. So now they said to me, go into a restructuring process. You need to simplify the processes. And I'm simplifying the processes because I'm adding other stuff. I can't add those stuff while I'm still this busy. So I need to simplify the processes. And a lot of shedding has been going on. And it's been time. It's discussions and discussions and discussions. And sometimes they don't give me the answers. I have to come and say this and this and this and this. And they're like, go redo it. And I'm like, but hint nyana, they're like, go redo it. I have to go back and redo it and redo it and redo it. When they've seen that I've applied my mind, I've really applied my mind, they then come with a little bit of a hint and say, have you thought of it in this way? Or sometimes they don't even give me the hint. They make me have a conversation with someone that person sparks an idea in me, and I know exactly what I need to do. Right? Intuition. So don't think just because you're going to have one prayer and say, tell me my source of wealth is going to come. There's steps. There's progress. You need to also prove yourself that you can handle big money. Start by the little money. Handle it well. Budget. Do all this. I've already talked about this in the energetic flow of money. Do all those things. Someone said in a comment yesterday, said, I prayed the way you told me to pray and I dreamt of a snake. Right? If you can dream of that snake, it means you can dream of lotto numbers. So now when you pray again the way I told you to pray, you go back. Now you are more specific about the income, about the wealth. Let that snake come back and tell you how to make money. Me, I love money. When they start talking about other stuff, I'm like, ooh, I'm venture man. And we love this conversation because my people are water. They are money people. I love these conversations. When we start going into money conversation, they get excited. Everything is spiritual. Entrepreneurship is spiritual. It's a calling. And if you are called into the road of entrepreneurship, you are then called into the road of building generational wealth, bringing back the glory of your ancestors. And if there's the responsibility that you've been given, the people who gave you that responsibility will give you the wisdom to be able to take that forward and build empire out of it. Ownership. The first step, how do we build generational wealth? Through ownership. You need to own stuff. You need to own stuff. Once you own that, you then convert it. Own things that can be multiplied. Own things that can stay for generations. Ownership, ownership, ownership. Ownership is not only just in business. Assets, buying properties, buying land. But utilizing the land, people are just buying land and they're not doing anything with that land. Utilizing that land, use your salary to fund your businesses. Use that foundation, those black economic empowerment things, tools that you've been given. Use them as a foundation to elevate you. That's the purpose of them. They were never put there to make you wealthy. They were put there to give you a start, a boost. So don't rely on them. Don't let them be the only thing you live off. Use them to take you forward. Find products. Listen, look at this thing that you're doing. If they're asking you to supply certain things, as a supplier, what are you supplying? Then go manufacture the thing. Start a manufacture, because clearly it's in need. They're going to ask someone else in another round to supply those things to them, and that person will come and buy it from you directly. Right? Instead of always looking for supplier, now go and see what is the demand of supplier these people need. They will always need this thing. We will always need a pen. We will always need a pen. So if you're asked to supply pens, it then means you should go manufacture this pen. And the people who supply those pens come to you to buy them and supply it. What is it that you are asked to do in this tender? Then go manufacture that thing. I'm out of time. All right, my loves.